Hi, I'm Lori Hines with Cook, Learn, Grow. We are a children's cooking school and we've been offering after school and summer cooking programs since 2013. Our programs are found locally in Austin, Houston, Dallas, and Seattle until last week. But starting this coming week, we're going to be offering our services and our classes online for more people to be able to have access to our service. So we're looking forward to this, and so be watching for new content. We'll be rolling out very soon in the coming days and weeks. And so we're just honored to be able to offer this service. And I mean, surely you've been seeing a lot more people cooking at home during the last week or so, families coming together, and so we feel like this is the silver lining of a difficult situation, and so we're honored to be able to play a role in this. Parents have been sending in pictures of them cooking with their children at home from recipes that their kids have learned from our program in their schools. So we are, of course, are just humbled and grateful to be able to be a part of this. So who knew that cooking would replace professional sports as a popular hobby? I humbly say that, but I am grateful for what we do. The work we do is invaluable, and we're honored to be doing that. So I wanted to start today with our first cooking video for this time with a quick little story so that we can all remember in times like this that it really could always be worse. Something my father used to tell me when I was a little girl, when things would get hard or difficult for me, he would lean in and say, "Sweetheart, just remember this, things could always be worse." And he would help me refocus my thinking and think and find the positive and rely on strength to get through. So I just want to share this quick story with you and hope that you also find strength from it and know that it could always be worse. So there was this man who had a family. He had several kids. He was poor. He lived in a very small home and with his wife and his 3 kids and his mother-in-law. And you know, when you're confined to your home, like we all are now, things can get stressful because there's no way to get away from each other when your sisters begin to annoy you or your brother or whatever. So after all of this, he decided to go to his rabbi for help. So he called up his rabbi and he said, "Rabbi, you've got to help me. I live in a very small hut and it's crowded. I have 3 kids, a wife, and a mother-in-law. Please help me. What do I do?" And the rabbi thought and he said, "Do you have a chicken?" And the man was with a puzzled look and he said, "Yeah, I have a chicken. Why do you ask?" He said, "Because I want you to go home, take that chicken and put the chicken in your house and then come back and tell me how things are." So the man said, "Okay, sure." So he went home, he took the chicken, he put the chicken in his house, and he realized that not only did things not get better, they got worse. Now, with all the kids screaming, the mother-in-law hungry, the wife complaining because the kids were making a mess, now there was clucking and feathers in the soup, and it was just not any better. It was worse, in fact. So the man, his stress level rising, he called back to his rabbi and he said, "Rabbi, listen, things are not better, they're worse. Now there's kids are screaming, they're fighting, the wife is upset, the grandmother's hungry, there's chicken feathers in the soup. What are you going to do? Help me." And he said, "Okay, tell me this. Do you have a billy goat?" The man thought for a minute. He said, "Yeah, I have a billy goat." He said, "Go home, take the goat, put the goat in your house, and then come back and tell me." So the man said, "Okay, whatever." So he went home and he took the goat and he put the goat in the house, and suddenly he realized that things were not only worse, he thought he was going to lose his mind. Now with the chicken feathers in the soup, the kids crying and screaming and running, the grandmother now totally stressed because she's hungry, and the wife is just out of her mind complaining because of the dirt and the feathers, and now there's a billy goat on top of the refrigerator and he's butting heads with the chicken. The man's like, "This is not working. I need real help." So he went back to his rabbi on the phone. He called him and he said, Rabbi, please, this is not any better. It's getting worse. I need you to really help me. Please help me." So the rabbi thought for a second. He said, "Okay, tell me, do you have a cow?" The man said, "No. Surely not, Rabbi." He said, "Do you have a cow?" He said, "Rabbi, I need you to help me." He said, "Do you trust me? You came for help. Do you want my help or not?" And he said, "Yes, I want your help." He said, "Okay, go home, take your cow, put your cow in your house, and then come back." So the man reluctantly went home, grabbed his cow and pulled it in the house. It was so big he had to shove it through the door, and the cow went and sat on the couch and broke the couch, and the man was about to lose his mind. And the kids were screaming and running. The grandmother was about to pass out because she was so hungry, and the wife just about giving up. And the feathers were in the soup. The goat was on the refrigerator on the top, kicking and making a mess. And now this cow was in the house, the small house, and he was on the couch, and he broke the couch, and the man was going to lose his mind. He could not believe what was going on. It was the end of the world for him. So he called the rabbi back, and he said, "Rabbi, I don't know what you're thinking, but you're not helping me. And I don't know what else to do. I'm at the end of my rope, and I am about to die. I just cannot go on. You've got to help me. What can I do to make this better?" He said, "Now, I want you to go home. I want you to take the cow out of your house, the goat out of your house, and the chicken out of your house, and then come back and tell me." So, man, the guy immediately hung up, and he took the cow out. He took the goat out, and he threw the chicken out. And all of a sudden, he realized there was peace in his home. It was quiet. There was no clucking. There was no butting heads, nothing in the food but food, no feathers. And suddenly the kids calmed down. It was quiet, and it was calm, and it was just him and his family. And he suddenly realized that, how wise the rabbi was. He called the rabbi and he said, "Rabbi, thank you. You have saved my life. My life is full of peace now. I'm just with me and my family at home. And you've helped me to realize that it's true. Things could always be worse." I hope you've enjoyed that tale. It has carried me a long ways throughout my life, and it has a lot of truth to it. So just remember, things could always be worse. Okay, so I want to share with you a quick little recipe to make for either a snack or breakfast. And so I'm going to start by sharing with you the ingredients. There's 4 ingredients to this. Number 1, there is yogurt. So I have yogurt here. If you can see this, it's kind of shiny, but there's just plain Greek yogurt in here. You can use vanilla yogurt if you want, but I just happen to have plain Greek yogurt. So I'm going to also add a splash of vanilla. Can you see this vanilla a little bit? That's number 2. Number 3 is orange. I'm going to use the outside and the inside of this orange. And that is pretty much it. So let's get started. Oh, no, actually, there's one more. There's some chocolate, some melted chocolate. Let me melt that real quick. It's only going to take a second to melt. I made this is chocolate ganache, which is just chocolate chips and a little bit of cream, but you can use Hershey's chocolate syrup or any chocolate syrup you want to use. All right. I'm going to stir this around just a little bit. My little chocolate ganache. All right, so let's get started. Okay, I have a blender here, and I'm going to pop the lid open. And I'm going to move my camera down so you can see, hopefully, what I'm doing here. We're low tech here at Cook Line Grove for now. All right, so I'm going to use this, and I'm going to put my yogurt into my blender. Okay. And now I'm going to add my splash of vanilla. And now I'm going to add my orange. Now I told you a while ago that you can use the outside of the orange and the inside of the orange. So the outside is going to be where we use our zest. Let me put this in. So this is a zester, and you don't have to use the outside. You don't have to zest if you don't have one of these, a planer or a zester. It's okay. It'll be just as good. But the zest of the orange has a lot of flavor, and it just will pack up the punch of orange. So I'm just going to zest this. When you're zesting, you want to just continually rotating the orange so that you don't continually or keep zesting the same spot. Because once you start getting down to the white part, I'll show you, you can see how it's getting pale right there and right there. That means I've gathered all the zest I need. If I were to keep going right there, it would eventually get white. You don't want that part. That, if it gets white, that's gonna have bitterness, and so you wanna just roll around and find new places to zest. Really about a teaspoon is all you need, but I'm gonna just go until I'm gonna eyeball it. You know what eyeballing means? It means you go until you think you have enough, and then you taste and see, and if you want more, you add more. You just adjust it. That's cooking. Okay, so I've got a lot of zest here. I don't know if you can see. I've got zest all over. That's a lot of zest. So I'm gonna stop at that. And then I'm gonna take the juice from the orange. Let's see, I'm gonna cut the orange in half. And I'm gonna take, I have a little colander here. I'm gonna put over the top of my blender like this. And I'm gonna use my citruser, and I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna get all the fresh juice. I'm gonna do it over that colander so that the colander will catch any seeds. And all I want is the juice. Okay. You want about at least a half a cup. My ratio, I'll share the recipe with you, but the recipe is like 2 cups of yogurt to 1 cup of orange juice. But I'm going to cut that in half. So I'm doing a half a cup of orange juice to 1 cup of yogurt. And you'll see. And really, with this big, nice navel orange, you don't really need this zester. You can really just squeeze it with your hands, just like this. Totally fine. If you don't have a juicer, you don't need it. At Cook, Learn, Grow, we really are trying to teach our kids that you don't really need fancy cooking tools. They're fun and they're wonderful and they do a great job, but some of these things you just don't need. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and add the other half. Oh, it smells so good in here and fresh. And so, you know, I don't know if you've ever had orange and chocolate together. You probably have, and I bet you would agree that it's pretty awesome combination of flavors. So that's why we like to add a little chocolate to this smoothie recipe. We call it a orange chocolate smoothie. Pretty simple. Okay. Now you can also take this or a spoon, and you can. It's got a little pulp in here, so it's preventing the juice from draining. So if you just stir it with a spoon or whatever, it'll help let the juice flow out of the colander, and it just leaves you the pulp. So you get more of your juice that way. Just a little pro tip. All right, good. Now I want to add the chocolate to make it the chocolate orange smoothie. So here we go. All right, let's give it a whirl and see what happens. Yeah, you can see. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And this is great for breakfast or for a snack. You need a little sweet spot. I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if I can hold it up. It smells so good. Here we go. Chocolate orange smoothie. And remember, it can always be worse. So smile, stay healthy, stay home, and happy cooking from Cook, Learn, Grow. Enjoy. It's good. You'll enjoy it. Okay, more to come. Talk to you. Bye-bye.